Dame, did that event ever want you to find out exactly who was behind it and what happened, or did you block all the theories that people were presenting behind it? Or was it like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of it and find out exactly what happened?
I mean, I knew what happened, so I didn't have to get to the bottom of it.
I want you to think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
Called Baby Girl, better known as Aaliyah, by Kathy Ian Doley, a source is claiming that Aaliyah was hesitant to get on the plane the day of the plane crash. The source says that Aaliyah was given a sleeping pill and carried onto the plane unconscious before the fatal crash happened in the Bahamas.
There's been a growing buzz around the idea that Aaliyah's tragic death might not have been an accident after all. New evidence is emerging, and it looks like 2024 could finally be the year Aaliyah gets the justice she deserves. So Dame Dash is now speaking out about the suspicious circumstances surrounding Aaliyah's death, and fans are rallying for the case to be reopened this year. But that's just the beginning. Rumor has it that Dame has hired investigators to look into Diddy and Jay-Z's alleged involvement in Aaliyah's untimely demise. Meanwhile, Jaguar Wright has thrown her support behind Dame's claims, suggesting that Jay-Z used music director Hype Williams to carry out a plan to eliminate Aaliyah. Now, these are some very serious accusations, but there are definitely aspects of Aaliyah's official death story that raise eyebrows. I mean, just the fact that she was given a sleeping pill and carried on that plane while unconscious is a huge red flag. And then when you factor in Jay-Z's close friendship with R. Kelly, who notoriously married Aaliyah illegally when she was just a teenager, and Diddy's alleged history of providing people with substances to incapacitate them, it's no wonder people are speculating about foul play. So what exactly has Dame Dash been saying about Jay-Z and Diddy's potential links to Aaliyah's death? Does he have concrete proof that these two were behind Baby Girl's tragic end? Let's break it down.
A lot of things I've been saying and exposing years ago, no one said until just now. So if you remember, I was beefing with Harvey Weinstein. I'm beefing with Leo. I'm beefing with Steve Stout. Most of the people that I'm beefing with, and I'm saying beefing because they're conspiring together, having meetings about how to put me out of business and stop my cash flow. Yeah. That's actually happening.
Do you believe in accountability?
Of course. That's what's happening.
So wouldn't you want to hold people accountable for what they did to Aaliyah?
Yeah.
It's been over 20 years since we lost Aaliyah, the princess of R&B, in that tragic plane crash. Yet her fans are still calling for her case to be reopened, especially with new evidence suggesting that her death might have been orchestrated by some major industry players. Anyone who remembers Aaliyah in her prime knows that she was in a league of her own. Aaliyah had it all. She could sing, dance, and act, plus she had the brains, beauty, and humility to match. But sadly, on August 25th, 2001, Aaliyah's life was tragically cut short at just 22 years old in a mysterious plane crash in the Bahamas.
Plane, just after taking off for Florida in perfect weather, suddenly plummeted to the ground. Investigators now saying one of the engines apparently failed. Along with 8 passengers, Aaliyah, a young Brooklyn native and a talented singer and actress.
So to give you some background, on August 21st, 2001, Aaliyah appeared on BET and revealed that she was about to start shooting the music video for Rock the Boat the very next day, with Hype Williams directing.
It's so good on the countdown there. We gotta know what the next video is, and I hope you say this is a song I love.
Yes, it is. It's Rock the Boat.
Yes!
It's Rock the Boat.
Yeah! Now when can we expect that?
I shoot the video tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
And that video should be out, and we're hoping like beginning of September.
Okay.
So on August 22nd, Aaliyah flew to Miami, where Hype Williams had set up a green screen set to film dance routines and underwater shots. But for some unknown reason, Hype suddenly decided to move the entire production to the Bahamas. And on August 23rd, Aaliyah and the Virgin Records crew boarded a plane to the islands. Now here's the kicker. Hype never explained why he had this sudden change of heart. They had everything they needed in Miami. Top-notch green screen setups, beautiful beaches, the whole nine. Not only that, but Aaliyah's ex, Dame Dash, later revealed that Aaliyah did not want to go to the Bahamas because she was terrified of flying. But Hype apparently made her feel like she couldn't say no.
You didn't want her to go, did you?
No. So she was shooting a video in Miami, and I had my son and my nephews with me, and she was very supportive. She particularly liked Freeway, his voice, and she was supportive of everything I was doing. She was like, yo, while I'm in Miami, I had the State Property down there, which was a group, and she was gonna do a record with Freeway. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna come down there, I'll check you, I'll bring the kids, make a vacation, work, the whole nine. So when we got there, you know, Hype was making this video, and I was like, I know Hype. I just got off of Big Pimpin', where I had to cut the video, you know what I mean? Because he likes to spend bread. So I was like, you know, he's gonna make you do another day. Don't do it. Trust me, it's just so he can spend money, you know? And sure enough, she came home that day, and I had a big house, I rented this house, and she's like, I'm going to, you know, there. And I was like, I just thought that it wasn't necessary. You know, I knew that was gonna happen. And then, when she actually saw the plane, she, you know, we had the Blackberries, and she said, I don't like this plane. And I was like, well, don't get on it. And she was like, well, I got to because I got work to do. She got on the plane, and she always had a very serious fear of planes in general. So she had to overcome a fear to get on that plane.
But that's not all. According to Dame, Lenny Kravitz, who has family in the Bahamas, offered Aaliyah his private jet. But Hype stepped in and took that offer away from her. And to this day, Hype still hasn't explained why he did that.
But what I was really more tight about was that I had heard that Lenny Kravitz had offered her a jet and that Hype had took the jet. So that's what really pissed me off about the situation when I heard about that. So you could ask Hype about that.
That's what I said. Have you ever talked to Hype about it?
Yeah.
And how did that conversation go?
Ask him.
But I also am asking you.
Yeah, but ask him.
But the sketchiest part is the fact that they literally plied Aaliyah with some substances until she passed out and then carried her on the plane unconscious. And that was after she specifically said she did not want to get on that plane. Now, that alone is worth a lawsuit if you ask me. Journalist Kathy Landoli dropped this bombshell in her 2021 biography of Aaliyah, revealing that on the last day of shooting in the Bahamas, Aaliyah had a bad feeling when she saw the plane that they chartered for her flight back, and she immediately told her team she did not want to fly. They tried to convince her to get on the plane, but Aaliyah trusted her instincts, got a taxi, and said she had a headache. But then, according to eyewitness Kingsley Russell, someone from Aaliyah's team got into the taxi with her and gave her a pill. Shortly after, Aaliyah passed out, and he saw her being carried onto the plane. Kingsley said Aaliyah's entourage, quote, took her out of the van and she didn't even know she was getting boarded on a plane, end quote. Just let that sink in. It's as if Aaliyah had a gut feeling that something bad was about to happen, and she tried to protect herself. And yet, these demons practically coerced her into a situation that led to her demise. And once again, no one who was with Aaliyah that day has provided a plausible explanation about what kind of pill they gave her. Why did they give her something that knocked her out so quickly? And why did they carry her onto the plane without her consent, especially after she said she didn't want to fly? Now, if we entertain the idea that this tragedy was orchestrated, who had a motive to eliminate Aaliyah? Well, according to Jaguar Wright, both Jay-Z and Beyonce could have benefited significantly from Aaliyah's absence. Allegedly, Jay-Z might have been pulling the strings behind the scenes, possibly using Hype Williams to convince Aaliyah to board that fateful flight to the Bahamas. And let's not ignore the uncomfortable truth that Jay-Z was BFFs with R. Kelly, who committed unspeakable acts against young Aaliyah. R. Kelly's disgusting behavior wasn't exactly a secret in the music industry, but a lot of people chose to turn a blind eye, including, it seems, Jay-Z. What's even more shocking is that even after learning about R. Kelly's actions, Jay-Z decided to collaborate with him on a joint album, Best of Both Worlds. And according to Dame Dash, this was the moment he realized Jay-Z had no morals or principles outside of his greed.
And the karma happens, but the thing I didn't understand is I was like, I know I'm that. And because of the moral challenge and him choosing one way, I knew morally we weren't the same. So to me, Rockefeller was defunct. It was over. I couldn't. It was something that to me was just like, not to say unforgivable, but I couldn't understand it. You know what I'm saying? And then I didn't understand how people didn't. I thought, well, the people aren't gonna have that. But nobody said nothing.
And then there's also the fact that Mary J. Blige described Aaliyah's death as a spiritual interview. And now Mary, well, let's just say that she and Diddy are allegedly two peas in a pod, and word on the street is that Mary has a lot of skeletons in her own closet.
I just know that was, you know what I'm saying, that was a spirit. People know what I'm not, because God don't kill people. You know what I'm saying, whether people know what I'm not or not. I could go deep, but a lot of people I would have to really bring proof, you know what I'm saying, for what I learned And she just was cut down in the prime of her life. And it's so unfair. And it wasn't time. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, I believe it wasn't her time to go, because from what I know, it ain't supposed to go down like that.
And here's another interesting coincidence. The same year Aaliyah passed away, Jay-Z and Beyonce went public with their relationship. And when you know it, that's also when Beyonce's solo career took off like a rocket. And according to industry insiders like Jaguar Wright, there are just too many strange coincidences to brush all this off. In her 2022 interview on Real Life Productions, Jaguar claimed that the reason why Jay-Z stuck around R. Kelly after learning about what he did to Aaliyah might be because Jay-Z himself was guilty of similar actions.
And he was working with R. Kelly, and they were making so many records together. You know, they made all of those records together. They both Aaliyah. They shared so much in common. Whoever talks about best of the both worlds, best of both worlds. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
That's smooth under the rug.
Why?
We know why.
You know what? I got a better question.
So, according to Jaguar, Jay-Z had his sights set on having the top R&B girl by his side. But Aaliyah wasn't interested and ended up dating Dame Dash instead. Jay's ego apparently couldn't handle the rejection, so he supposedly schemed against Dame and redirected his attention from Aaliyah to Beyonce.
Everybody that knows Sean Carter knows that he will slump anyone in any relationship for $1. Look at how he did Dame. Like, I don't give a f if you wanted to get away from your homie, if you wanted to get away from your partner, but to do it the way he did it, it's malicious. But maybe that was because he was want you.
Oh.
Aaliyah didn't. She fell in love with Dame.
But Jaguar is not done yet. She recently returned to that blue couch, and this time, she didn't just call out Jay-Z, she also took aim at Hype Williams. In fact, Jaguar directly challenged Hype to come forward and reveal who instructed him to ensure Aaliyah got on that plane.
It's time to talk, Hype. It's time for the public to ask you why Aaliyah couldn't get on Lenny Kravitz's plane. And you had to put her on that clown car plane. Who asked you to say that? And do yourself a favor before you make any statements. Please remember, I was out a little X, your apprentice. I know a lot more about you than you think I do, Hype. It's time for us to stop with the truth. It is time for Aaliyah Dana Houghton's death to be properly investigated.
And then Jaguar also called out Aaliyah's choreographer, Fatima Robinson, who was present during the accident. Interestingly, both Fatima and Hype ended up taking a different plane the next day after Aaliyah's plane crashed. And once again, Jaguar pointed the finger at Jay-Z, suggesting he orchestrated Aaliyah's death as a form of punishment for choosing Dame over him and to elevate Beyonce.
It's time for Fatima Robinson to speak up about what she heard on that phone. It's time for somebody to be honest about who gave Aaliyah the pills that knocked her out before she was carried onto a plane she didn't want to be on. It's time for the other dancers who knew she was terrified to get on that plane to speak up. And it's time for Hype Williams to be officially questioned about why he made her get on that plane and why they forced her to do it unconscious. I want you to think about this. Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling. Let's just say allegedly that happened.
But wait, there's more. Jaguar also brought up that Mary J. Blige interview where she called Aaliyah's death a spiritual. And according to Jaguar, all signs point to Jay-Z and Diddy.
Now I want you to think about 106th and Park with Mary J. Blige. Free, who is a victim of Sean Carter.
Yeah.
Mary J. Blige, who is a victim of Sean Combs, are sitting there talking about the death of Aaliyah. amongst each other. Think about that. You got a Diddy victim, you got a Jay-Z victim, and you got a superstar gone.
Now, as for Dame Dash, for years now, he's been publicly calling out Jay-Z for betraying him and conspiring with white record executives to destroy Rockefeller. And when it comes to Diddy, Dame recently commented on that horrific video of Diddy putting his hands on Cassie and said that if that was his daughter, he would delete Diddy on the spot.
Yeah. So, you know, if that was something I were to see happening to my daughter, you know, Puff, he's dead. You know what I'm saying? And again, I'd go do the time, or I try to figure out how not to have to go do the time, but I don't think I could handle watching another man or any man touching or doing any kind of violence to my daughter.
Right.
And, you know, when I saw the apology, what I wondered is he has daughters. So I'm like, what, if I were to ask him a question, it would be, what would you do if you saw a dude do that to your daughters? What should that person's punishment be? Because that's what yours should be.
Yeah.
Now, it's problematic in a big way, the apology, because just logically, he had already denied all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So he had already said that, you know, he vehemently wasn't going to say that he ever did any of those things, and it didn't happen. And now, because it came out, he's saying sorry, but it's like now it's hard to believe anything else that he says, and it's hard not to believe anything that Cassie is accusing or alleging in the lawsuit, because, you know, I think I couldn't fathom ever having that kind of aggression toward a woman.
But that's not all. Aaliyah's death has once again become a hot topic on social media, with fans advocating for authorities to reopen her case files. And word on the street is that Dame Dash isn't just standing by and watching this from the sidelines. Allegedly, he's orchestrating moves behind the scenes, collaborating with law enforcement to shine a light on Jay-Z and Diddy's potential shady dealings linked to Aaliyah's demise. So, could 2024 be the year that justice finally catches up with those responsible for Aaliyah's tragic end? Do you think Jay-Z and Diddy really had something to do with that airplane crash? Or is it all just a conspiracy theory? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and stay tuned for this upcoming video.